Once upon a time, there lived a teenage girl called Abisola. Abisola's mother died when giving birth to Abisola. So, Abisola lived with her father, Mr. Olushola. Mr. Olushola is a businessman who was always busy and was barely around. So initially, he had left Abisola in the care of his aged mother, who loved Abisola so dearly and doted on her. Abisola's grandmother referred to her as a reincarnate of her own mother, so she called Abisola Yabo instead, which meant mother is back. When Abisola turned 6, her father married again. After he remarried, he had wanted to bring Abisola to come live with him because he believed that his new wife would also become Abisola's new mother. However, his mother was not willing to let her granddaughter go. "I would miss her. Please don't take my granddaughter away from me," Abisola's grandmother had begged. And so, Abisola continued staying with her grandmother. However, when she turned 12, her grandmother died. With her beloved grandmother gone, Abisola had to live with her father and stepmother. Now, Abisola has a special gift. It was the gift of vision. She could see glimpses of the future, mostly when things were about to go wrong. Her grandmother had noticed this when Abisola turned 6. Abisola had said to her grandmother after dinner one evening that her father was going to remarry again soon, but that she feared that the woman he was going to marry would not like her. But her grandmother hadn't taken her words seriously then, because she felt that Abisola was quite a smart child for her age then, was only saying things that often happen and was common. A man marrying again after he lost his wife and the wife not treating her husband's child well. The usual. Moreover, at that time, Abisola's father had not even mentioned anything about marrying again. So, Abisola's grandmother had dismissed Abisola's words, but had been impressed by her intelligence of such issue, because that was what she thought it was then. However, when after 3 months, her son Olushola informed her that he was marrying again, Abisola's grandmother was stunned. It was then that she realized that Abisola didn't just look like her late mother, but that she also had her late mother's gifts. Abisola's great-grandmother also had the gift of supernatural vision. And that was why Abisola's grandmother had refused her father to take her with him when he got married, because she didn't want his wife to maltreat her granddaughter. But unfortunately, she died before Abisola could become an adult. So, Abisola had to live with her father, her stepmother, and her half-brother, because her stepmother had now given birth to a son, whom they named Ola. Well, Abisola's stepmother did not outrightly maltreat her, but she ignored her and cared less about her. Her only focus was on her own son, and she didn't even bother if Abisola ate or not, if she was happy or not, or that if she had school assignments she may need help with. Abisola was left always on her own and would sit in her room, bored with no one to share her thoughts or talk about how her day went in school, like she did with her grandmother when she was alive. One morning, Abisola woke up and saw a vision and ran straight to her father and stepmother's bedroom, breathing heavily, to tell them that they should not take her half-brother to school that day.
"There will be an accident in his school and he will be badly affected,"
she said. "What rubbish," her stepmother said when she heard that. Are you wishing evil on my child? She asked in anger. Abisola, you must have had a bad dream. Nothing would happen to your little brother, her father said calmly. But Abisola was sure that it wasn't a dream. Though it was early in the morning, she knew it wasn't a dream she had because what she saw came to her when she was about to brush her teeth that morning and prepare for school. Anyway, at Ola's school that day, there was an unexpected and sudden power surge. It caused the light bulbs in every classroom to explode, and as pieces of the light bulb fly in the air, Ola's class teacher sprung up quickly and tried to protect her pupils, but fell in the process and landed heavily on young Ola, causing his arm to sprain badly. And for 2 weeks, young Ola suffered a sprained arm and cried every day in pain. But instead of Abisola's stepmother to learn from her mistake of ignoring Abisola's warning, she rather accused Abisola of being the one who professed and wished evil on her son. Well, another day one evening, Abisola was helping her stepmother in the kitchen as she made dinner. Then another vision flashed in her heart. She saw her stepmother cutting her finger badly with the knife.
Please ma, be careful,
Abisola said quickly, her voice sounding a little scared.
The knife, please, be careful, so you don't cut yourself. I fear you may cut yourself because I saw that,
she said. Her stepmother stopped cutting and looked at Abisola with a frown. Cut myself? Look at this thing, no. Are you not the one to teach me how to hold a knife? So because I allowed you to enter my kitchen, you think you now know how to handle kitchen stuff more than me, eh? She said angrily and resumed cutting her vegetables. And then, when she was almost done, it happened just as Abisola had seen. Her hand slipped a little and the sharp knife sliced into her finger, cutting it deeply. Abisola's stepmother screamed in pain and later complained to her husband that evening when he arrived from work. Your daughter has what the Hebrews called an ogbanje spirit. Why is it that when she says things, it happens the way she says it? And why is it that it is only bad things she's saying? Eh? Is it today that I have been handling a knife? Abivu wala walele bayi. Meaning, what kind of problem is this? And it continued. Whenever Abisola saw a vision of something that was about to go wrong, she would warn them. But they would dismiss her warning, and when it happened as she said it, her stepmother would say that it was her evil tongue and ogbanje spirit that caused what she said to happen. At school, it was no different. Abisola attended Bright Light Girls Secondary School. One afternoon, during a science class in the laboratory, Abisola had another vision. She saw a Bunsen burner being left on accidentally and a fire starting near some flammable chemicals. It was a dangerous situation from what she saw. Abisola immediately went to Mr. Emeka, the science teacher, to tell him of what she had seen. Mr. Emeka was a man who believed in science and logic, and he had no patience for what he considered superstition. Abisola, did you just say you saw it in a vision? He asked, laughing. Well, we are very careful in this lab. We always check everything before leaving. There is no need for your fanciful stories, Mr. Emeka said dismissively.
But sir, please just check, just to be sure.
Abisola pleaded softly. Mr. Emeka sighed impatiently. Please, Abisola, go to your class. I will check the lab. But please, stop making up these stories. It is disruptive, he said. Abisola felt a lump in her throat. She knew Mr. Emeka did not believe her. But she had done her best to warn him and only hope that he would remember to check the lab, because even her did not want anything bad to happen. Well, Mr. Emeka did not check, and later that evening, long after school was over, a small fire did indeed break out in the science lab. A Bunsen burner had been left on low flame and it had ignited some papers that were too close to it. Luckily, the school's night watchman smelled smoke and quickly raised the alarm. The fire was put out before it could spread too far and cause serious damage. But the lab was partially damaged and some equipments were destroyed. Another time, just as Abisola was about to go out for break when the school break bell rang, her vision flashed again. She saw her classmate Tolu falling off from the swing. Abisola felt a pang of worry and so ran to Tolu to warn her. However, Tolu ignored her. And a few moments later, it happened just as Abisola had seen in her vision. Tolu fell terribly from the swing. Now, there were some girls who were with Tolu when Abisola was warning her friends. So, they talked about it as they wondered how Abisola was able to know and tell what would happen exactly. Another time yet again, Abisola saw a vision of the school's flagpole falling on some students and rushed to tell her class teacher, Mr. Adebayo, about it. But, like Mr. Emeka, he dismissed her. Just like that, without anything or maybe Eka eating it, he asked, and Abisola nodded. The flagpole is a new one, as you can see, and it is strong, so it would not fall. If it were old and rusty, I would have fears and believe in whatever you claim that you have seen, he told her. However, the next day, during the school's devotion assembly, there was just a mild wind and the flagpole fell right towards the place where the senior girls usually stood. Luckily, by sheer chance, no one was directly under it when it fell. But several senior girls were knocked over by the falling pole and 2 were injured. One with a broken leg and another with a deep gash on her head. It was discovered that there was a hole around where the pole is, probably dug by an animal. When Mr. Emeka got to know from Mr. Adebayo that Abisola had warned him the previous day about it, he froze. I believe that girl is operating with some sorcery. My father told me that such people use dark magic for things like this and cause evil to happen, he told Mr. Adebayo and every other teacher in the staff room then. I agree with you, one Mrs. Nze said. Why is it that it is only bad and negative things she sees? Why not when good things are about to happen as well? She must be possessed, Mrs. Nze added. And so, just like Abisola's stepmother, the teachers in her school also branded Abisola as possessed. They started shunning her. Whenever she raised her hand up to answer a question or asked questions during lesson, they would ignore her and pretended as though they did not see her putting up her hand. Yet, one day again, Abisola had another terrible vision. In her vision, she saw the school's principal, Mrs. Uwoyemi, get bitten by a snake in the school's crop farm. Abisola was scared by this vision. She admires Mrs. Uwoyemi a lot and would not want her to suffer such. She thought to tell her class teacher to warn Mrs. Owóyẹmí about going to the school farm. But then, she remembered that Mr. Adebayo had not even believed her when she told him a vision of the flagpole. Also, none of the teachers in the school had ever believed her visions, but were always shunning her. So, she summoned the courage to go straight to the principal's office to warn her herself. At break time, Abisola tapped on the principal's door gently and waited for a response. She went in when she heard the female voice asking her to come in. It was the principal's voice. With a slow and shaky voice, Abisola narrated to Mrs. Owóyẹmí what she saw in her vision. Thank you, my dear, the principal said, smiling. I am glad that you are aware that one can get bitten by reptiles and other insects on the farm. But that is why we have fumigated the farm. We fumigated the farm 4 days ago. With fumigation, we do not have to worry about reptiles, insects, and other pests. But thank you for being cautious. I appreciate your intelligence and cautiousness, Principal Owóyẹmí said, not fully understanding that Abisola was warning her of something more than the natural or biological.
Ma, you still need to be careful. Do not go to the school farm at all for now. Or wear a protective boots if you must,
Abisola said, still trying to explain and warn the principal. It's okay, child. Go and play and do something with your break. I have important documents to attend to, Mrs. Owóyẹmí said impatiently and dismissed Abisola. The next day, some officials from the state's agricultural office came to their school to inspect the farm, which was actually 2 miles away from the main school building. Mrs. Owóyẹmí left her office and led them to the farm. However, as they were about leaving after the inspection, Mrs. Owóyẹmí felt a sharp sting on her heel and let out a loud cry. The government officials ran to help her. They later discovered that she had been bitten by a snake. She was taken to the school's sick bay and was given immediate first aid treatments. As Mrs. Owóyẹmí recalled that Abisola wondered about these incidents, she started to wonder how Abisola was able to know. I told you that girl is possessed, Mr. Emeka said, as they all gathered at the sick ward to condole with Mrs. Owóyẹmí. She speaks doom to people and it happens exactly how she says it to them, Mrs. Nze added. We and the entire student are not safe with such a girl amongst us. So. A girl that will be speaking and prophesying doom to us. Let's send her away, another female teacher said. All their words got to Mrs. Owóyẹmí. So, the following week when she resumed work after she felt better, she sent an email to Abisola's father, informing him that they can no longer have Abisola in their school because they believe she is consumed by dark powers that emanate doom. Please look for another school for her, the last sentence in the email read. I told you this your daughter is an Obanji. I hope you now believe me, now that her school has also confirmed it, Abisola's stepmother said to Abisola's father after they received the email from Abisola's school. Abisola was sad. She wasn't trying to harm anyone or foretell doom. All she did was warn people with the hope of helping them to avoid the bad things which was to happen. She did not wish to have this ability, but she just sees things. She sat in her room crying, feeling sorry and helpless. Abisola's father tried to enroll her in another school around, but even these schools have heard about Abisola and her prophecy of doom. as they termed it. So, they also refused to accept her. Many weeks spanned fast without Abisola going to any school, and somehow it seemed like her visions had reduced. But one day, it came again. Abisola saw a vision where her stepmother was being swindled by a stranger of a large sum of money in her wig business.
Ma, please be careful of strangers with your business.
Abisola told her stepmother that morning after she got the vision. Not that she didn't know that her stepmother would not believe her as usual, but she just thought to herself to do her own part. You have started again, right? You this Ogbanje girl. Please get out of here. I cover my business with the blood of Jesus and away from your Ogbanje eyes, Abisola's stepmother said, shouting at Abisola. Abisola walked away slowly, not sad, but satisfied within her that she had done her part. Meanwhile, at Bright Lights Girls Secondary School, things went smoothly and normal. But then, it was rainy season and the rains came heavily, making the hills around the school soft and waterlogged. It was a typical rainy season weather and no one paid much special attention. Until one afternoon when everything changed. Without warning, the ground behind the school that had been so weakened by the relentless rain gave way directly towards the school building, and a massive landslide, a roaring river of mud, rocks, and uprooted trees surged down the hill directly towards the school's building. The landslide was sudden. It happened in the afternoon, towards the close of school. It was terrifying and unstoppable. The wave of mud crashed into the school building with devastating force, causing walls of the school building to collapse. Chaos and panic erupted throughout the school. Girls screamed in terror as the building partially crumbled around them. Teachers frantically tried to organize an evacuation, but the landslide had struck so quickly and violently that many girls were trapped inside the damaged building, injured and terrified. The scene was horrific. The once peaceful school was now a scene of destruction and chaos. As the school community struggled to deal with the immediate aftermath of the landslide, digging through the mud to rescue trapped girls, tending to the injured, and trying to restore order, a chilling thought began to dawn on some of the teachers, and especially on Mr. Adebayo. If Abisola had been here, if she had still been at Bright Light School, would she have seen this coming? Would she have warned them about it? Could this catastrophe have been averted if they had not been so quick to dismiss her, to fear her, and to expel her? The question hung heavily in the air, a silent accusation and a bitter regret. Even Mrs. Owoyemi admits the chaos and cries of the injured girls, and as she watched the devastation unfold, thought the same thing. In the days that followed, as Bright Light School slowly began to recover from the landslide, the regrets deepened into a painful remorse. The teachers and even some of the senior girls, in hushed tones, started to talk about Abisola again, not as a witch, but as someone who had tried to warn them, someone they had unjustly rejected. Mr. Adebayo, haunted by the image of the falling flagpole and the injured girls, felt a heavy burden of guilt. He went to Mrs. Owoyemi. "Madam Principal," he said quietly, "do you remember Abisola? Do you think if she was here, could she have known about the landslide? We expelled her because we feared her visions, but maybe we needed them. maybe we made a terrible mistake, he said. Mrs. Oweyemi, her face etched with sorrow and exhaustion, looked at Mr. Adebayo with tear-filled eyes. Mistake? Mr. Adebayo, we made a catastrophic error. In our fear and ignorance, we threw away a gift that could have saved us. We called her evil when she was only trying to help. Oh, how wrong we were, she said. The weight of their collective error pressed down on Mrs. Oweyemi, so she made a decision. We must find her, she said. We must find Abisola, and we must beg her to forgive us. And if she's willing, we must ask her to come back. Mrs. Oweyemi, accompanied by Mr. Adebayo and a sober Mr. Emeka, set out to Abisola's house so they could go beg for forgiveness. Meanwhile, at Abisola's house, her stepmother was also deep in sorrow. She had just lost a whooping sum of 350 million naira to a man introduced to her by an old schoolmate. The man had deceived her that he had contacts of top donor hair dealers. He showed her pictures of him with them and even brought with him few expensive and high-quality donor hair, and showed her several invoices from previous businesses he had made and supposed government seals. Abisola's stepmother believed him and withdrew her entire savings, and even borrowed some money from the bank and gave to the man to buy enough donor hair. But the man disappeared with her money with no trace. And so, she was also in regret because she recalled that Abisola had warned her about it a few weeks ago. Well, as Mrs. Oweyemi and her team of peace staff got to Abisola's house, they begged for forgiveness and pleaded with her father. Mrs. Oweyemi, humbled and sincere, confessed a terrible error, apologized for their harsh judgment and expulsion, and pleaded with Abisola to return to Bright Light School. Abisola listened to Mrs. Oweyemi and her team's remorseful apology. She was touched by their evident remorse. She had suffered deeply though from the accusations and rejection, but she was not a girl to hold on to bitterness, and seeing their genuine regrets and the suffering the school had endured, her kind heart softened. And after a moment of quiet consideration, Abisola looked at Mrs. Oweyemi and the others and said softly to them,
I forgive you. And yes, I will come back to Bright Light School,
she said. And so, Abisola returned to her school and was seen no longer as the girl who foretold doom, but one with a precious gift. They started listening to her whenever she gave a warning, and as they heed her warning and took caution, they were able to avoid and avert dangers. At home, her stepmother also no longer despised her or called her an Obanji. She started treating Abisola well and took every warning she gave seriously. The end. Hey lovelies, I hope you enjoyed the story and have learned from it. So tell me, do you know anyone like Abisola? Have you ever come across such a person before? Did you believe in their gifts, or did you think the same like her stepmother and the teachers in our school? Do you even believe such gifts exist, or you think they are demonic? Especially because it has to do with foretelling doom. How do you think we can handle such prophecies if directed at us? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. And before you leave, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next story. Bye.